Hello everyone, this is February 11, 2018 and this is Yalak and I'm doing another lesson in the New Testament is Fake series. This lesson is titled Peace with Animals, and this is taking a look just a little bit at the sacrificial system in the scriptures that uses animal sacrifices as well as human sacrifices, where although I'm going to be talking really about the animal sacrifices, but it's easy for us in the scriptures to talk about the human sacrifices that it's pagan and Israel should not have been joining in it. They learned it from the other nations. Some say human sacrifice in Israel, like infant sacrifice, was never really done. Others are saying yes, it was done. As far as I can tell, it certainly was done. But I'm really going to be taking a look at the other kind of flesh sacrifice, similar to human sacrifice, which is animal sacrifice. Now, I want to just say here that by taking a look at the scriptures again on my own, it is clear to me that the Most High does not have anything to do with animal sacrifices or human sacrifices, like of infants or adults, like as we read of in the New Testament on Calvary. But I want to just give a simple thought here today that gets to the mind, a very, very simple thought that will let you begin to think that something is wrong with the sacrificial system in the Torah or the Old Testament that has Israel killing animals, and we're living today expecting to do that again, like that is right, as if the only reason we're not doing it is because we're not back in Jerusalem, we're not in the land. But I want to start out here by getting a picture of how this thing started out, because we're taught that the Most High killed an animal to sacrifice for the sin of Adam and Eve. But that's not what I'm getting from the scriptures as I search. You got to search. Think of the things I'm saying to you. Don't just rush to believe me. Think of it carefully. And the carefully here really means searching, studying, reading different books, different authors, different versions of the scriptures, connecting with the Hebrew scriptures, because that's going to definitely help you, like the Hebrew words. And also paying attention to what's going on in your heart or in your mind as you read, as you sense things. Because the scripture says that he deals with your heart. And we all know that while heart is described in different ways in the scriptures, generally speaking, we think of the heart as that processing part of us that we think of as the mind, where you can sense your feelings and give value to the feelings. And that value might tip to the right or the left, positive or negative, and you can judge things by that. So as you read here, think of it like when it comes into your mind of killing an animal, does that sound, just by the use of the word kill, that's something that's just really nice. If you just have a newborn baby and you just come home from the hospital and it's your first day at home, and you and your husband or wife are there with the new infant, and people are coming over with their gifts, and it's a nice day. That's the first day home with your child, your infant. Are you going to be having words on such a day filled with thoughts of life, newness of life, future, blessings, a new human being, and so on, and starting a family, all that hopeful, nice, sweet feeling, and having words in your mind that you're speaking out all day, like kill, slaughter? Are you going to have those kinds of words on your mind when fresh new life is in your hands on that day? But in order to give you life from the Creator, the Most High has to have you killing somebody on Calvary and killing many other animals in the Torah days for your sin that you did. And he's giving life to Adam and Eve by not slaughtering them right there in the Garden of Eden. And in order to give them life, he kills an animal who didn't do anything. Imagine that. A serpent comes and he says, you're not really going to die. And then the Most High handles the situation after he pronounces his judgment by killing an animal, so they said. And they can't even be sure of what kind of animal he killed. They're like, oh, some say it's a goat, some say it's a deer, some say it's a lamb. And it's the quote-unquote Lamb of Calvary. It's not right. It doesn't even make common sense. So think, people, like I've told you so many times before, think of what you are hearing from people and think about what you feel inside of your heart when you study and when you seek the Most High through the Scriptures. Because I would think that if the Most High is going to kill somebody because of their sins to clear up the whole situation, why is he going to kill an animal, if it's a lamb like you say, who didn't do anything, had nothing to do with the situation, nothing to do with the sin, with the tree or anything, did not force them to eat it or coerce them? This lamb or whatever animal it was wasn't even in the story, period. If he's going to kill an animal for their sin, why not kill the beast that pushed them in that spot and enticed them to eat the fruit? Why not kill the snake? Can you understand what I'm trying to say? Anyway, I'm going to read here from Genesis chapter 1 verse 27. So Elohim created man in his own image. In the image of Elohim created he him, male and female created he them. And verse 28, and Elohim blessed them, and excuse me, and Elohim said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it, and it goes on. So he's saying, it says here, he created them, male and female. So enough of this garbage now about all the stuff they're telling you about one man and so on. Like, this is crazy. I'm going to do another lesson on this kind of craziness. Like, the world is about to end and we're still wondering what's what, about what the scripture really means on some basic introductory things. Maybe you and I should fight and argue over what later stories or scriptures mean as we get deeper into the Torah. But the introductory chapters of the scriptures, like the first 2 or 3 chapters, the world is about to end as we know it. And for some of you, you're saying the millennium is going to come and whatever, earth is going to get destroyed and God's coming back and all that. And after all these thousands of years, the earth is about to end on us, so to speak, and we still can't understand the introductory chapters of the book of wisdom that should give light and knowledge. How can his word be a lamp to your feet and a guide to your path and so on? And the Torah itself is starting out with its introductory chapters in a way that does not have enough light or illumination to guide your feet as you walk through the rest of the pages of the Torah. No wonder we're fighting over what the prophets meant and what the prophecies mean and are they fulfilled as yet. Because the opening chapters don't shed enough light of understanding so that we can understand those introductory chapters, let alone the other many chapters that come later on. People are still wondering in like Genesis 25 and so on who Esau is. Well, it says red here. Well, no, it's red skin, it's white people, it's this, that. No, Esau is black. How are you going to understand those later chapters when the opening part of the book does not shed enough light on our understanding? So I'm just trying to be realistic here about the text, people. And this is just my view on the scriptures. I hope it is of benefit to you as you study. So he says, it says here that he made them male and female, he created them, and then he told them to be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. So he's telling you there that these people are filling the earth, right? He made them. So to me, the way I see it is, prophetically, be fruitful and multiply and replenish, be fruitful, multiply, is the same kind of idea you have that by the time the man got into the garden, the earth and certainly the garden was already fruitful. So this was something that was already done. So verse 28 helps to interpret verse 27 to show you that it is not one man that he made, but he made man and woman, and then he did not just make one man and one woman, but he made many. because fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, fish of the sea, and so on. It's telling you of a world that was already filled up, of many, a lot, bountiful, plenty. So it's telling you that they're supposed to do these things and be fruitful and multiply and replenish, because the earth was already plenished or already fruitful or already multiplied before the man and the woman was made. Because when they got here, it was multiplied already with a lot of fruit trees for them to eat and herbs and so on for them to eat. The earth was filled already, but as they continue to use of the earth, they will need to replenish. And the earth will replenish itself with its food, with its herbs, with its fruits, and so on. So the stuff that they're given, the command that they're given, is rather prophetic, the way I see it. And I didn't read this in any book. It's just coming to me since the recorder started. I never saw this before. But that's why I'm saying you got to think things through, right? Try to see something. If the world is going to change and you say we are going to have a millennium, excuse me, coming, a new millennium, a new world, a new. How does newness come without new thoughts, without new strategies in the mind, without new thinking? If the world is going to come with newness, new thoughts, new ideas, new wording has to come to bring light on the earth. You understand what I'm trying to say? So they're going to replenish or redo what the Creator already did. Just like He already made a lot of herbs and plants and fruit trees for them to eat from, as they continue to eat and feed themselves, to multiply themselves and so on, they are going to see that the earth will replenish and multiply and refruit itself or refood itself, because it was fooded already by the trees and the fruits that He already put there. So when it says replenish the earth, they are going to go ahead and do it, because a lot of people were already made like He made them, male and female. And if you go to the Hebrew and look at Genesis chapter 1 and 2, which I won't take the time now for, but when you deal with the Hebrew from the how it's worded right there, it's going to suggest to you or just tell you plain out there was a lot of people, not just the 1 and 2. Why is He going to seclude the man into a garden? Seclude him and eventually the woman from what or who? If somebody's coming in to tempt them that you say is the serpent or Satan or whoever, which I've told you a long time ago from last year, that this is another person that did this from another nation. Possibly another nation, most likely. But if somebody is coming in and speaking to them who you call the serpent, and people are generally referred to as serpent today, as well as in spiritual literature, whether it's in the Torah or not, people are referred to as being a serpent when they are evil. They've got evil intentions and they're doing something bad and wicked. So if a serpent comes talking, you and I don't see serpents talking to you. When was the last time you went to a zoo and saw a snake talking to you? Aha, I'm glad you came to visit me today. Snakes don't talk. People do. Your experience and my experience in this world is one that says to us the only people, the only talking that we're normally accustomed to on a day-to-day basis is from people. So somebody came in and tempted them. So obviously He was secluding them in a garden that was going to keep them separate from outside influence. But obviously somebody came in. Excuse me. So now run over to Genesis chapter 2. Run about verse 17 or 18. Okay, so verse 15 and down. And the Most High took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. So he's working in there. People are going to tell you this is not just like digging up dirt, but there's more of the Torah or something like that. Basically, he's supposed to keep some kind of instruction or commandment from the Most High. However, and the serpent didn't want those commandments kept, so the serpent gave a lying doctrine, again showing you that it is a man, it's somebody from another nation, an outsider to the Torah, who was not keeping the Torah, who was probably never given it, or who had already walked away from it, and now is working against it and trying to take down this man and the woman. Because if he's teaching them how to break it, that means he has knowledge of how to go against the given commandments. So he's doing religious teaching. The only people who teach religion on earth, as far as I know, are human beings. A person was inside the garden, not no fallen angel coming from heaven. I just don't know when people are going to just wake up. We're so into this religious thought system of how it was given to us that it's hard for us to rethink things and trust our own self. You trust the person who's teaching you because they went to seminary for many years and have taught the Bible for 20, 30 years. You trust them so much, but you never trust yourself. When that person with all kinds of theological degrees behind their names had the same amount of knowledge that you have now prior to them first learning the scriptures and doing a course in theology. So that means whatever they accomplished with the scriptures, you can accomplish it too if you want to, if you choose. It's a choice. They didn't put down themselves, or they would not be teaching you and writing the Bible commentaries and the Torah commentaries and the Hebrew lexicons and so on. They wouldn't be doing all that stuff and having you read their kinds of books if they didn't start out somewhere. The only reason you are not doing it is because you don't believe you can do it. You don't believe someone can write the commentary that you put out. So you continue to learn from somebody else who's telling you the same dog story that's turning around and biting you in the ankle every time you try to move forward with understanding from the scriptures. And you can't move forward with proper understanding because you keep trying to fight off the dog that's biting you with the same old interpretations that's designed to not let you look forward, but to turn around and fight off the dog, kick off the dog, and then nurse your wound. And because you forgot what you were working on in your mind, you start over again from Genesis chapter 1 to try to figure out what the Bible means. Kick that dog permanently to the curb and just kill him. And go on uninterrupted to freeing your mind toward the scriptures. Kill that false doctrine in your mind. Get rid of it. Think for yourself is what I'm trying to say. So he commanded the man, saying, every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, and so on. You shall die, basically, if you eat of it, right? So it goes on. Now, with the sacrificial system now, offering these sacrifices, these priests looked to me like they were expert killers, they were daily, so to speak, murderers, or weekly murderers, or annual murderers, or high holy day murderers, killing off the animals of the earth that the Creator made. That's what they were really doing. And we have been taught that this is a holy and good thing. We should just believe in it. And you never stop to think for yourself that if somebody breaks into your house and kills your cat or your dog that you love so much, and dogs are protected by laws nowadays and so on, somebody kills your dog and said, well, I had a good reason, they can never convince you that there's a good reason. But somebody convinces you it's okay for us to kill thousands of animals. We'll let the priests do it for us on the next high holy day. And it don't bother you because they give you a good reason. It's to make us right. Or why don't you just get right with the Most High, with your living, to begin with, and you won't need to kill any of them. You sleep with your neighbor while their spouse is out, and you go kill an animal to worship the Most High, and the animal never slept with the neighbor. The animal did not offend the Most High doing that. You did. So why is the animal dying? And he dies being slit in the throat, draining out his blood, or whatever they do to him. He dies so that you can live. No, it's a big lie, like Calvary. And like the so-called animal sacrifice in Eden that the Creator did for Adam and Eve. It's a lie. The animal didn't die so you can be free to live right again and be empowered to live sinless again. The animal died to give you another chance to continue to live in a sinless state with a sinful mind that will transgress again and live to transgress another day. Transgression continued after Adam and Eve left the garden after a so-called animal was killed. Transgression continued, you can tell, because Cain rose up and slew Abel. Look how many Israelites after a holy day in the scriptures continued to sin, continued to transgress. Look how many sacrifices King David watched while he was a small child until he grew up and was there as well with it, the same sacrificial system. And he was still killing a man just to get his wife. A man who was serving in his army and supporting him. All the sacrifices that David witnessed in his life, and David was a priest as well, wearing an ephod, all the sacrifices in David's life did not prevent David from living wicked again. It was wickedness to kill the man and take his wife. That's why the Most High punished him. Sacrifices don't do anything in Scripture but ensure that you transgress another time. Calvary is a deception. just like the sacrifices of the Old Testament. And like I've said before, when the world is finding newness, you will search out for people like myself. Not saying I'm tooting my horn and so on. I'm the least of you all who listen to me in terms of Torah knowledge. But the world, the earth is looking for something new. Can't you sense it? Can't you feel it? Or are you just looking back for the old system that will continue to believe and think the same things and kill the same kinds of animals and so on? So now, let's look here at Isaiah 11 verse 6 and look at what it says here. Because I'm talking here about the sacrificial system, and it seems so violent toward animals that just can't be right, people. It just cannot be right. But Isaiah 11 and verse 6, then the wolf shall live with the sheep, and the leopard lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion shall grow up together, and a child shall lead them. All right, and the cow and the bear shall be friends. The infant, the lion shall eat straw like cattle, and the young shall lie down together. The infant shall play over the hole of the asp, or in this version, of the cobra, and the young child dance over the viper's nest. So over the cobra. So now, and I just read from this version here, the New English Bible with Apocrypha. I hope you can read that. So now, if the Most High is here talking to the prophet about a future time when things are well on the earth, things are restored, even the animals are going to be at peace together, and children, which then also means adults, are going to be at peace with animals, and animals at peace with other animals. That is a kind of utopian or blissful kind of world that we've all dreamt for. My mother, for years when I was a child, a small boy in Jamaica, she must have known this scripture, but I never knew where it was all along. But these days I'm understanding that's what my mother was talking about all the time. A child shall lead them, a child shall lead them. It's like in her heart she just dreamed of a world like that. That's how we all are. We dream of a better world. That's why people are fighting in politics and in different areas of life for a better world, for changes. People are fighting in medicine. People are saying, no, that's not healthy and good for our bodies. With food, no, that's not good for our bodies. People want a different world, a better world. A better world. And here's a picture of a better world. So if the infant shall lie down, shall play over the hole of the cobra, that means the infant is going to be safe with the cobra, with the viper's nest. Right? And so they're going to be safe right there with the cobra. So they're not going to be hurt. This is telling me that by the time the serpent got into Eden, the earth had already fallen. Oh, man. And they're telling us to think that it fell with Adam and Eve eating from a fruit. I always thought that was strange since I started studying this story and looking into it. Because how can the world be perfect and no sin had yet happened and nobody was thinking to do evil when a serpent or a person is coming in and talking their language, showing you it's that person, and tempting them to do wrong? That means that person is also doing wrong already because the wrong lives in their heart. They are experienced at doing evil, so they know how to carry out the evil quick, fast, with strong effect before the Creator even shows up again in the cool of the day. He can pull it off, execute it real fast, because skillfulness comes with practice, with repetition. And so it seems that the man and the woman were fenced in, like Job was fenced in from the enemy. The man and the woman were fenced in. In the Hebrew, you get that in this garden, they were closed off from what was outside because outside was evil. Why? Because the world had already fallen. So the Most High created a new man with his Torah, put his life into him by breathing in the breath of life, and entered into him to live through him, because his word will live through the man. It will be a different world for the man. And so now the world having fallen already, that fallen tempting kind of mind and doctrine of lies and deception and of evil can come in to try to seduce the woman and seduce the man by taking their heart away from the commandments. The world had already fallen, right? And the picture of the fallen world, as far as I'm understanding it now, is that there was a serpent that was there doing evil. But the scriptures teach us here in this precept in Isaiah 11 verse 6, is that a perfect world, or a better world, if that's better for me to say, has serpents that do not strike and kill or harm. But a serpent was doing that in the garden. No, we got to reread the Bible like I've been telling you. And think again. And sometimes some of my concepts that I'm coming with these days might still have a lot of questions, because some people ask me some stuff. I can't answer it all. I'm just starting to rethink the Bible. But maybe someone will pick up some of these thoughts as I go along and work them out some more and fix them up some more and so on, right? Because when new ideas are coming, they might need to be cleaned up some more and fixed up. But at least you got to pull away from the deception of the past. So now, I'll read that same verse from this other version, the ERV version, the easy to read version. Excuse me. From Isaiah 11:6, it says, just for different wording, at that time, wolves will live in peace with lambs, and tigers will lie down in peace with young goats. See that? Nobody's slaughtering them as a high priest of God, the God of Israel, to kill them. They're going to be in peace. Calves, lions, and bulls, you know the bulls you like to kill for God, for sacrifice, and while you burn up the rest to send up smoke to him, you're sinking your teeth in the rest, and the Most High fighting with you all, complaining to his prophets that you're all fighting over the best part of the meat, instead of giving that best part to me and so on. The priest took the best part of the meat and so on, and said, you look what you're doing to my holy sacrifice. Calves, lions, and bulls will live together in peace. A little child will lead them. Now, when you are slaughtering sacrifices for the Most High, these animals, does that sound like these animals, based on the precepts here, are living in peace? The Most High precepts are showing, like I just read, is showing that what the Most High wants is peace, even for the animals of the earth. It's just peace. He doesn't want them touched in that way where you're slaughtering them. So how do you have this Calvary system coming out of a sacrificial system in the Old Testament that's killing animals? It's a little bit odd. Let me run over now to Ezekiel chapter 34. And, okay, well, instead of reading it from this Bible, I'll read it from Bible Hub online, see which version they've got right here, and then I'll try to wrap this thing up. The CEV version. Okay, now it says from Ezekiel chapter 34, I'll read the first couple verses. Not sure how many, I'll just read a couple until I need to stop. The Most High said, Ezekiel, son of man, Israel's leaders are like shepherds taking care of my sheep. Notice this precept or this teaching is dealing with animals. And when you read the scriptures and precepts, it uses whatever figures or people or symbols in the scriptures because it means to communicate something with those creatures or symbols or words that it's using, because in your regular mundane or day-to-day everyday life, you are supposed to look at the symbols and the wordings and so on, and it's supposed to have meaning to you based on what those symbols or creatures or people represent and how it will help you interpret the stuff. So it says, Israel's leaders are like shepherds taking care of my sheep, the people of Israel. But I want you to condemn these leaders and tell them, I, the Most High, say, you shepherds of Israel are doomed. You take care of yourselves while ignoring my sheep. You drink their milk and use their wool to make your clothes. Then you butcher the best ones for food, but you don't take care of the flock. He's telling you that to butcher them is not to take care of them. If you're butchering the flock, if you're butchering the creatures, if you're butchering the animals, he's telling you that is not what you would call taking care of. Is an Israelite priest in the Old Testament in the book of Deuteronomy or when it's described, or Leviticus or the book of Kings or Chronicles or wherever, all those descriptions of the Israelite priests killing animals, killing the sheep as mentioned here for sacrifice, are those Israelite priests taking care of those sheep, of those goats, of those bulls, or are they killing them with a knife? Is the knife dangerous to the animal that they slice the animal with? Or is the knife taking care of the lamb? Think. The precept is telling you here that the way the flock is taken care of, the way the sheep is taken care of, is not by killing them, but is by doing the things that the wicked leaders were doing for themselves, which is taking the best of the food and clothing their own self and so on. You're supposed to take care of Israel, the flock, the sheep, my sheep, by clothing them and taking care of them and feeding them and so on, not by killing them and using them for food while you eat that food of their bodies on the holy day, while you watch the smoke of their burnt body go up to the Most High. That's butchering and killing them. The precepts are telling you that the Israelite sacrifices and the sacrificial system of the Old Testament that the New Testament Calvary is built upon is pure deception. Complete deception. It says you butcher the best ones for food, you don't take care of the flock, you have never protected the weak ones or healed the sick ones. So the sheep or the flock, the precept of the Most High, of the Creator who made those same sheep in the first place, when he made the world and he made the animals and he's likening Israel unto them, he's telling you that sheep should be protected, not slaughtered, not killed. So the moment you start killing them and telling me that Calvary is another lamb being killed and so on, the same way the Creator killed one of them in the Garden of Eden for Adam, the moment you tell me that, you're not running in line with the proper scriptures. The precept is not understood by what is written in the book you read in your Torah. The precept is understood by what is in your heart. That's why the scripture says after he made the man and formed him from the dust of the ground, he breathed into man the breath of life. In other words, the man became a living soul. Why? Because by breathing, he formed the man and he breathed and he entered inside the man to give the man life. So if the man then becomes Israel, if the man that the Most High is dealing with other people is Israel, like some people teach that what's going on in the Garden of Eden is like Israel, then he entered with life into Israel, his nation, to give his life, his people life, or his nation life, through his Torah, which was breathed into the man, or breathed into Israel. So Torah gives life to Israel. So when Torah or sheep or flock is killed, you are saying, we don't want anything of the Most High. That's why if you eat from the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you will die, because you are getting my commandment out of you, which I breathed into you to give you life. That's the only way you can live. So slaughtering anything counteracts life, it negates life, it takes away from life. So animals should never be killed, they should actually live. So he goes on to say now, you let them wander, you damage them, and you did not even bandage those that were hurt, and you did not heal them. Animals should not be killed and slaughtered with a knife by an Israelite priest. If they are wounded for some reason, because they had some accident or fight with some other animal, the priest should have then showed true religion in Israel by healing the wounded animals on high holy days, to show that life is coming for the nation, and it's the same way life is flowing to the other creatures. Israelite priests should have been setting the example and saying, let's go heal the animals on the holy day. Let's heal all our sick people as well. And let's go water the plants and the trees to show, oh, life is like a new type of spring type of stuff going on in a high holy day on the Day of Atonement and so on. That's a true picture of life right there. Not by killing and taking down life. And as we know, the more animals are killed, is the more it affects the ecosystem. So Israelite priests are participating in damaging the ecosystem. Like you're telling me, the Most High was damaging the ecosystem as well, and so on, by slaughtering animal in a world he just made. So So he says, you don't heal them. You let them wander. You don't bandage them up when they get hurt. You let them wander off and never look for those that get lost. You are cruel and mean to my sheep. Is slicing an animal on a high holy day cruel and mean, or is it wonderful and sweet and nice to the Creator? You see how the precepts, when understood differently, shows a better understanding, a better Torah understanding. I told you we have been given the given Torah, or the public Torah. We have not been given the true Torah, because Torah is embedded within Torah. They strayed in every direction, and because there was no shepherd to watch them, they were attacked and eaten by wild animals. So wrong, bad teaching that does not watch over them when they start to stray and go off from false teaching and lack of understanding, that kind of not watching over them with proper teaching lets them wander off even further and then get attacked by wild animals and eaten. So the Torah protects, proper understanding protects, true proper teaching that has wisdom to it protects the sheep that's wandering off already, and it's going to wander off to where it is a prey, to where it is being preyed on by wild animals. And improper teaching and unskillful teaching of the Torah by skillful people who are skilled in the knowledge of the Torah, improper teaching by those people who write all the finest Torah lexicons and whatever on earth, improper teachings by all those people cause the rest of the people who are trying to find the Most High to continue to wander into improper or false teachings that get them destroyed by the false teachings out there by the wolves that are preying on them and